have you ever, if you've ever done a workshop, have you ever had somebody be like, your workshop was amazing, or like, I loved every piece of it, but like they didn't take any action, they didn't book a call, they didn't hire you. Like, I loved your content, but like there was no movement towards working with you. If you guys ever had that, that's not the best feeling. It's not quite what you're doing this for. Obviously, we all like to give goodwill. So it's like, yeah, I feel good. But ultimately, this is a vehicle to grow your business, right? The other problem can be where you are overthinking the content. Have you ever felt like you don't know the line between fire hosing people or getting somebody to convert and not like overwhelming them with your content? Have you ever been like, I'm trying to figure out what's too much content to share? And then have you ever worried about being too salesy? Have you ever worried that you don't want to be salesy? Like you don't want to be that kind. Like if you're like, you've seen a lot of the salesy people and you don't want to be them. So these are things that we got to break through. This is literally from this workshop. I took some screenshots. I asked people who booked a call with me from it, what inspired you to set up this call and resonate with the entire message? So this is what they're saying after watching this presentation. Your energy and honesty. I want to inspire my clients, your presentation. So instead of people being overwhelmed, they booked a call because of what you're about to learn. So what are we talking about? We're talking about giving high value content without fire hosing and sabotaging your sales. We're talking about inspiring people to want to work with you without ever making it about being salesy. So it's like you get the sale, but you don't focus on the selling. So the myth is the more quality content that you share in your presentation, the more you serve people. This is a destructive myth. What do you think quality content is? I agree, we want the content to be perceived as quality, but what exactly is quality? The truth is that if your prospects, this is so powerful, really take this in. If your prospects leave your event more informed than inspired, you've done them a disservice. So here we are, high integrity. I know that you're high integrity. I always attract high integrity, heart-centered people. That's who I work with. I'm high integrity. We're high integrity, so we want to give the most value, but we're doing them a disservice if we feed them logical information that gets them to know more. So I hope to break the spell that knowing more and gaining more information is not valuable to your clients. And I'll prove it to you as you go forward here. So how do you create content that inspires and converts? First thing, your presentation must be reverse engineered from your offer. That's why we talked about your offer so much. So if you know what your offer is, we had a few people who put what they're selling. It wasn't a lot of you. A 90-day business academy, says Aileen. Renee, 8-week course. You can't build your workshop without an offer. Now, if you guys just want to do speaking gigs because you just love speaking, that's great. This is not that model. This is where you sell something at the end. So this is that kind of speaking gig where you sell something. And to be honest, a lot of people want to be like Les Brown, but they don't get the kind of money that Les Brown does. And so you want to be a road warrior traveling the world speaking. You can do that model, and I love it. And I do that too. I have that kind of model in place. But primarily, we're talking about selling an offer on the back end of speaking. So whatever that thing is to sell, your workshop is the reverse engineer of it. So here's the example. Your offer, just as a metaphor, is the movie Avatar. So let's say you're the creator of Avatar and you want people to come to Avatar. So you would create the trailer for Avatar, but you couldn't create the trailer for Avatar if you didn't already have Avatar. If you created the trailer first, you would be like guessing, maybe it's about an alien from another, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but it's going to be really cool. And now you got to build the movie, right? And that's what people are doing wrong. So we start with the offer and it tells us what the preview is. So if you don't know your offer, you can't know what your workshop is. So this is just a kind of alignment piece. If you want this to work, it all goes in this sequence. Number two. So when you guys have an offer, you probably have some steps. We call them modules or your signature system, right? So Anne says a 4-week course. Does your course, Anne, have steps? It could be 5, 3, it doesn't matter. What are the steps, right? Sometimes they're 5, 7. So whatever the steps are, if you guys have steps, put steps into chat just so you know what I'm talking about. You guys have steps. You can put the number of steps, just say steps. You guys have steps. right? You got modules, you got something that teaches, right? Great. So whatever those are, that's your system. At least that's the system of the offer that you're selling. We'll call that your system. That's how you get people the results, how they get from A to B, whatever you want to say. It's the transformation of your process, right? And it helps people to always have steps when you're selling, right? Because they're like, what do I get? Well, module one, module two, you get this, right? So hopefully you guys are on that page. When we work with our clients more in depth, we help them create their steps. Maybe you guys don't have it, that's okay. What you can do right now is condense your steps into 3 pillars. If you condense your steps, your offer into 3 pillars, it's a little bit of a creative exercise, but I'll give you an example. For a coaching offer, it's very common to have this idea of attract, convert, deliver, right? I'll show you how to attract leads, how to convert them on sales calls, and then how to do your coaching program. What are your 3 pillars of your offers? Condense your offer into 3 movements: mindset, support network, and alternative wellness modalities. So one of the things I would say, I love that power pantaloon, and I know that you're kind of early phase. Your steps can't be things that they need you for. Steps systems, right? They work to operate outside of the coach. So if accountability is not can't be a step, it's a logistical component to a program. So your steps must be things that they can do without you. So that's my only feedback for you on that. Like, support network is not something they can do without you. So they can't have to go and get it somewhere. So think of your steps as things that they have to do with the workbook and on their own, kind of thing, right? Because I want you to build everything leveraged. I know some of you guys are doing one-on-one, but build it leveraged. All right, so what's we got? We got Francois says, clarity, decision, action. Beautiful. Mark says, nervous system regulation, sticking to one point, storytelling. Beautiful. Anne says, where they came from, where they are, and where they are going to create their plan. Beautiful. Amazing. So that's number 2. You condense this and you have your teaching points. And now the big kahuna, this is where it all comes together. Align your teaching points with the 3 core beliefs your attendees must have in order to say yes to themselves. So this is where the paradigm is like, you know, the red pill and you're entering a new world. First, we reverse engineered your teaching points to lead to your offer, like breadcrumbs. You know, the old saying is like, how do you catch a squirrel? You don't chase it. You leave breadcrumbs and it comes to you, right? So your workshop is the breadcrumbs that lead them to your offer. So we have those breadcrumbs as the 3 teaching points. Now, we want to identify 3 core limiting beliefs that your ideal clients have that are in the way from believing they can achieve what they want. Remember, the teaching point is don't teach, inspire. So what is inspiration? Inspiration is when somebody believes that something they used to think was not possible is possible. Raise your hand if you follow me. Inspiration is when you believe something that was not possible is now possible. I'm like, I can do this, right? So there's things in their brain that have them believe that what you're teaching is impossible. And so what you want to do is insert beliefs in each teaching point. And this goes back to the idea of how do we create content that is not fire hosing? And how do we create quality content? What is quality content? Quality content is when you believe that what you want is possible. Think about the difference between learning something, which is heavy, steps, and believing something is possible. Ask yourself internally which one's more valuable to you. Honestly, you might think in your brain that you want to learn something, but what feels better is knowing it's possible. So you have to think about what feels better for your clients, not what you think they want. Your belief shifting is the highest value. Let me give you an example. So here's an example of a master your money program. So this person, this fictitious concept is somebody who teaches people how to master their money. So teaching point number 1 is about the mindset, like the frequency of money, okay? And teaching point number 2, they're going to talk about how to set up smart money habits. So budgeting, right? And like tracking your numbers. And number 3 is how to save and invest for the future. This is a very common concept, right? Like these are 3 very distinct steps that lead to their offer. So the belief that, so here's the question. If you're coming to learn from a money coach, you probably have some money stuff, right? Money mindset stuff. And so what's the belief that they might have would be like, I repel money. So your teaching point number one is going to be the context of align with the frequency. That's the context. That's what your offer will teach them in depth. But the core training in key teaching point number one is that they're going to believe by the end of it that I can be a money magnet. Can you see how valuable it would be for them to believe they're a money magnet versus some deep system? Now, this is an easier one for you to get. The number two is set up smart money habits. If you were a money coach, do you think it would be helpful to show a spreadsheet with, let's say, 8 columns and a whole bunch of data that like is your big money budgeting thing? Do you think that would be like enjoyable for a non-numbers person? It would be completely terrorizing. Like, I want nothing to do with that. That's where you are repelling your ideal client. So instead, they should believe that it's easy to do budgeting. So just 3 columns, 3 numbers, and you're saying to them, raise your hand if you guys can do 3 numbers. And they're like, I can do 3 numbers. I can do this. So because you're realizing their belief, your content is adjusted to make it about belief change and not about going deep on your 18 column checklist, which is what people think good content is. Because when they work with you, you're going to do the 18 column checklist. That must be quality content, but it's actually fire hose. Raise your hand if you guys are following, getting value. And then, of course, grow your money. They might say, I never have enough money to create real wealth. Well, why don't you help them see that they already have what they need, and just demonstrate some examples of how people who didn't have money were able to save a little bit every day and create more. And suddenly they can say, I can do this. That is how you create quality content that converts.